Welcome to Your Life Reset, a Verta Health podcast series. I'm your host, Teresa Link, and in this series, we'll hear from people on their Verta journey, the wins, failures, moments of adversity, and moments of joy they're experiencing along the way. So sit back, relax, and listen as we unwrap the truly human experience of Verta. Hey everyone, welcome back. I am pumped for today's episode because our guest has one heck of a story. We're talking about pushing back around the shame that society throws around obesity, taking a chance on a new way of eating without being fully ready to do it, and making huge moves like dropping 90 pounds in just 3 months. I'm chatting with Verta member Dave Arnold today, and believe me, he's as delightful on camera as he is off. And we're going to dig into what keeps him going and his next big target, which is 100 pounds down by New Year's Eve. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this one. All right, well, welcome, Dave, to the show today. I'm so excited to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Teresa. Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. I'm a big fan of the podcast, so very thankful for the opportunity to chat with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited for everybody to get to hear your story because it's just, um, I've gotten spoiled by getting to talk with you myself, and now I'm excited for everybody else to kind of hear that too. So just to dive right in, we chatted a little while back about society's view on obesity, right? And you mentioned really the shame that can come from being overweight, and really the mixed messages that people send and that you receive about that. So how do you handle that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I think that the one thing I think about is that uh, I'm not ashamed when I look in the mirror. And I really feel like, for folks listening, no one should feel judged or ashamed to go out in public and just live life. Um, I think that societally, there's still people get ridiculed for being overweight. And so I think the thing that I've thought about is it's okay for me to take up space. And I think I would just encourage that of others is to take up space. And because you may fear uh, where would you sit or how would you navigate a space, don't just not attend and be a part of things and miss out. But I think to just be okay with asking for an accommodation. If I'm going out to eat, um, I've said, I need a seat. We sit at a table instead of a booth. Because booths are sometimes have been harder to fit in. And so don't fear missing out. Just be willing to advocate for what you need. I think that a thing I remember is this isn't about being a good or a bad person. Um, and I think that's really even impacted how I've shared this with my daughter. My daughter's 8. And I told her when I started Verta, I talked about my journey. And I said, this is a conversation Daddy had with his doctor. And I was also direct. Daddy has to lose weight. But it's because Daddy wants to get strong and I want to be here a long time for you. I also wanted to make sure that I shared with her directly, but I was also really cognizant because I don't want how I share or talk about weight or food to perpetuate some things that happen societally. And so,
Yeah.
that really mattered for me. I think a shame piece that I felt that I have carried is, I feel like I kind of missed out on the Barbie era. Like getting down and playing with Barbies was tough
Mm,
with her
yeah.
because of the weight that I was at. It was uncomfortable to get down with her and play. And so, I think I just decided that I had to forgive myself um, for that and say, just because maybe I feel like I wasn't able to be uh, engaged with her in that way. I've been an involved father, but maybe there's moments where I haven't been able to be active in the way that I wanted to be. But that period of life doesn't have to be forever.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's a thing that I've thought about. So
Yeah, and I love that. I think that experience too is really powerful because it can make you see what it is that you felt like you really wanted to be able to do, and now I'm gonna take the steps so that I can do that. What does not just losing weight for losing weight's sake, but also how does that impact your quality of life and your ability to get down on the floor and play? And I'm sure there's many, many more phases beyond this. My daughter's 5, so we're thick in that phase, although she's not a huge Barbie fan, which I'm okay with. Um, when I was little, I just cut their hair and I wasn't allowed them anymore. But
Mhm.
what's the eight-year-old girl's phase right now? If we're past Barbies, where are we currently?
Oh, man. Well, she's into a lot of things, and so I think she's starting to get into some, she does dance and gymnastics, and so some active things, and so, while I don't know that I'm gonna be out, doing the balance beam, and the bars with her, I think that there's something about being able to be an active dad, a gymnastics dad,
Yeah.
um, so, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we're
absolutely.
into right now, so,
Being there for her, having the
yeah,
stamina to encourage her, to cheer her on. I mean, she'll probably wanna teach you some dance moves.
sure.
She absolutely will.
Yeah.
So now you can do that
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Even better than the Barbie
We
phase, I
definitely
think.
have dance parties at home,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I love that, I love that. Well, I really love the message that you're sending, for her and that you're really portraying for other listeners too, saying, "You don't need to feel this way. It's okay to take up space. It's okay to ask for accommodations." To be fair to a lot of our listeners, just kind of starting their journey, I think many have really struggled with, "I don't know if it's okay for me to take up space. I don't know that it's okay for me to ask for these accommodations." And, is that ever something that you felt, and how did you kind of move past that?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, uh, I think that I think you just become with okay with knowing sometimes when I walk out, people are just gonna judge just because,
Yeah.
and I think that really, there's a lot of the content even when I was onboarding with Verta around mindset, and I think that there's some mindset to that, like, again, it goes back to I'm not a bad person because I have to sit at a table instead of a booth right now. Even if that means an extra 5-minute wait at the restaurant or whatever the case may be, so I think it's just I think some of it's mindset and being okay with knowing that you deserve to live life in the fullest wherever you are. You're good enough today.
Yeah.
And I think even when people start their journey, the other thing now that you experience is like, you kinda, get criticism one way for being, overweight. You get criticism for how you do your journey. And so the thing I experienced starting Berta was there's a lot of perspectives and opinions on how I should lose the weight. Have I done this? I should do this. And uh, so I think that, you know, you got to work with the Verta team, work with your primary care doctor, and you work. The biggest thing is being committed to the plan that you develop and move forward on that. Take action. So
Yeah, love it. We could just wrap the episode today. I think everybody everybody has what they need, but we won't. We're gonna get more into the nitty-gritty here. One thing that we also talked about, which I know has been difficult for you, is the fact that you lost your parents, to obesity-related health issues, and how tough that was and is. So tell me a bit about how their experience really kind of influenced you, and how you approach life, and what your health
yeah,
goals all are, what you want them to be.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I lost both of my parents young. They were both 58 years old. I lost them actually 4.5 months from each other too. So not only did I lose them young, but I lost them in really close proximity. Um, and I think one, I love them. I miss them a lot. I think about them very often. Uh, they were very good parents and made a lot of sacrifices to give me and my siblings a good life. But yeah, they both struggled with their health and in a variety of ways. Most certainly, being overweight, I think, magnified their health issues. They struggled with type 2 diabetes, uh, heart issues, etc. And so I think the big thing for me is just that I want to live longer. I know what it's felt like to lose parents young, and my daughter was very young when they passed, and I think about even just at 8 years old, how much life they've already missed that she's lived, and the hobbies and things you asked about earlier that they'll never know were a part of her story, and so I think that it's taught me to remember what they taught me, which is my most important titles are husband and father. And I owe it to myself and I owe it to those people um, to really try to do this, to really turn my health in a direction that I'm able to live longer for myself and enjoy life in the way that I want to and for them. And so, I think that there's probably some times that I have wondered if people think, man, what's taking him so long? People that know us and have known my family, like what's taken him, so long. And my siblings are also overweight. My whole family has really struggled with this. And so, but I think that, what I know is it's not fun being heavy. It's not, it's not that you enjoy this. And if it was that easy, I'd have done it 10 years ago.
We're gonna talk more about that, how you got started, what made this different for you a little bit later in the show as
Yeah,
well. But
sure.
I really wanted to highlight, the fact that, you know, you wanted to really use that experience to make sure that you are living the kind of life that you want to live as a husband, as a father,
Yeah,
and be able to be around, right?
yeah,
And certainly you are on your way to that, very much so.
yeah,
I mean, you've lost 90 pounds in just 3 months
yeah,
on Verta. You've increased your daily steps from 3,000 up to 12,000, which
yeah,
is really incredible. I struggle just to get to, like, 8,000 a day, I feel like. So,
mhm,
you inspire me to get up and keep walking around when I can. But I wanna hear about what the most enjoying, or excuse me, I wanna hear about what the part of your journey that you've enjoyed the most so far in
Yeah.
the past 3 months.
I mean, seeing the scale move has been very rewarding. I do think that you have to look beyond the scale, but I do think that the Verta program has proven to help move the scale for me. My highest weight, I was at 447. I started the program at 440, and you're right, I've lost 91 pounds actually as of this morning. So I'm at 349, and so I think that has been promising to me. But I think even beyond that, I think that you know the ability to walk until you say you're done. Just like a trip to the grocery store sometimes would really take it out of walking around. Um, I would avoid certain activities or things because of, the task that it was on my body. And now I can walk until I say I'm done, and, if I'm being vulnerable, even things like mowing my grass. I was kind of in a place where I would take a break between mowing my backyard and my front yard. And it took quite some time to mow my yard. And we don't have a very big yard, a nice size yard. But um, even before it got super cold outside, I got to get one mow in as I had started my weight loss journey, and I was able to mow the front and the backyard without taking a break. And I had done it in what felt like record time for me. Um,
Yeah.
and so, those type of things were huge rewards.
Yeah, those little things,
So
I think, are the ones that really add up the most.
yeah.
The ones that yeah, it's because our life is full of these tiny little moments, right? And when you notice,
Hmm.
"Man, I was able to get the entire front and backyard, and I'm barely even tired." I mean, think about where I was a few months ago. It really makes a big difference, those little wins.
Well, the ripple effect too. I mean, I shared this with you already, but before previously when we chatted, but I even noticed maybe I needed less pressure. I wear a CPAP machine, and there's probably several other listeners that do that might. And I thought, man, I feel like maybe this is too much pressure, and so I messaged my doctor and I told her how much weight I'd lost, and they reduced my CPAP pressure in the first 3 months. And they think that they're likely going to have to do that again. So when you talk
I
about
bet.
ripple effects on other aspects of your life, you know,
Yeah, yeah. Happens in so many different ways, which I think is all of these different wins, wins on the scale, wins outside of the scale. It's pretty amazing. Um, I wanna take us back 3 months ago. You and I chatted a lot about how, you've got some great advice for people about getting started. What does that look like for you? And that it was a pretty tough thing for you to try to kinda make that leap. So,
yeah,
you said it wasn't easy starting out. There was a lot of struggles. Tell me about what helped you push through,
sure.
to be able to really, dive into making these changes to your
Yeah.
food intake.
Yeah. It was, I remember being at the very first, as I was doing the onboarding, there's a lot of information because Berta is really trying to set you up for success. But I remember messaging my coach before I'd even started the program and I say, hey, I want to be successful, but I work full time job. And this is like overwhelming, you know? And I think it was just, I needed to ready myself that, yeah, I was going to make some big life changes. I think what's made me stick with it though is that while it sometimes feels like a lot when we're about to make a big change in our life, starting with small habits and really like learning to habit stack, and break this down. Like there's a lot of, when you look at the Verta program, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of information to help
Yeah.
guide you to make good decisions. And if you try to implement all of those things in the first hour that you start, I think you'll feel pretty overwhelmed. I know I did. At the end of the first week, I tried a new soup recipe, the soup I'd never made before, and it was a, Verta friendly soup recipe, and it was terrible. Uh, and it was probably my execution of the soup, but
What
it was
was it?
bad.
What kind of soup?
It was like a creamy Tuscan soup, and
Okay.
I probably would make some tweaks to it, but it didn't feel like it had anything in it, and it didn't taste good. It wasn't good, and I thought, man, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like
Yeah.
we love to cook. That had become one of my pandemic hobbies, and I was like, man, I don't know, this is tough. And I thought, so back to small habits, and minor changes. I was like, well, let me look at um, foods I already make and how can I change that? So spaghetti night, I pulled out the pasta and I had spaghetti squash for the first time. And I found, we'd made homemade sauce before, but, I found a jarred sauce that was the lowest sugar on the shelf, or among the lowest sugars. And I used that with beef, and it was a very good meal. I was full, and it was a meal I was used to making that just with a few simple swaps was able to be bird friendly. And I've done that now time and time again. Taking foods that we have in our cycle of meals and make
Yeah.
minor adaptations. And I think that makes it feel more realistic. Like, oh, I got this. Oh yeah. And then I started
Yeah.
thinking like, oh, I could make this change to this meal,
Mhm.
and it just starts to
Yeah.
unlock all these other opportunities. I think the other thing I would say is sometimes you just have to eat and move on. Sometimes there's so much, I feel like I would put a lot of emphasis. Like if I made a dinner, I didn't like the way it tasted, sometimes I'd make another dinner. I'd eat that one and then make another dinner. And sometimes it's like, that was okay. And you just move on,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
It doesn't always have to be fancy. Every dinner, every lunch, every breakfast doesn't have to be the best one ever. Sometimes it is. It's just about filling you up so you can move on with your day or go to bed or what have you. I love that advice, and I think lots of times we can get stuck in this mindset of, "Oh, man, that wasn't as good as I thought it was gonna be." Eh, it's okay. There's always the next time to try it again, and that spaghetti squash with the low sugar, marinara sauce and the beef, you know, it reminds me of a time when I made something for the first time when I had first started reducing my carbs, and I thought, "Yes, I finally got one. I got one.
Right.
I got
Yeah.
it. I can do this again, right? Or I can just fix this for the next 17 nights, and then I'll try a different one, right?" And you
Hmm.
just keep building on and building on. So I love your description of that and how it really helps
Yeah.
enhance your confidence to just keep doing, more healthy habits, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Starting small. Love it. Starting
Yeah.
small. So tell me about your next big goal. I thought it was 350, but you said that today you hit 349, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So my goal was 350 by New Year's Eve. It's actually pretty momentous to be with you today because tomorrow marks 90 days that I've been on the Verta program. As you said, 3 months. I'm right there. 90 days tomorrow, and I've lost 91 pounds. And so I'm gonna go for it. My new goal now for New Year's Eve is gonna be 340. So I'm gonna try to by New Year's Eve be down 100 pounds since I started the program. So
Amazing.
yeah,
What are you gonna do when you hit 340?
keep going.
Yeah?
I mean, I think that one of the things I've also learned after I did that first week that was rough, even and I made it through it, I celebrated by something other than food. I took my daughter golfing. It's something we like to do together, and so because that's one of the big reasons I'm doing this is to be able to do more active things with her. So
Yeah.
I don't know. With it being cold outside, it probably can't go golfing, but I'll find something. you know?
Yeah. I love
So,
the, replacing food as a celebration with
yeah.
an activity that you can do together. Doesn't mean you can't still celebrate with food, something that's delicious and, friendly to your body, but finding those other things, those experiences to have are things that we remember, so much, and I know that she'll remember, um, for a long, long time. So, when you think about, let's say, 10 to 15 years into the future, how are you hoping that your life will look different, or the types of activities that you are hoping to do that maybe you wouldn't have had the chance to do before?
Yeah. My wife and I were just talking recently about we like traveling. And so I just think about the ability to travel and enjoy traveling, not having to worry if I have clothes that fit for a trip in a certain climate, as that's kind of been an ongoing battle. So it's like little things like that that I'm excited about. I think also thinking about how could vacations look different? Like we plan I think we've really been trying to work to continue to plan our life around activities rather than just around food. I mean, I do think that food is important to our family.
Yeah,
It's important to
yeah.
experience cultures and for celebrations. I will probably still get a steak dinner, please believe, when I hit the New Year's Eve goal. Um, but I think that that's something, that I think being able to travel and have, even travel and vacations that's based around activities.
Yeah.
So
What's a bucket list place for you where you would love to travel if you could go anywhere?
if I could go anywhere,
Yeah.
I always say I'm a palm tree over pine tree kind of guy. So, anywhere tropical is always a big pull for me. So, if there's a beach, sign me up. Warm climate beach. So,
Warm climate beach. Yeah, yeah, because you could go Pacific Northwest and get kind of your
yeah,
cold beaches.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Nice warm beach. Yeah, that sounds amazing, especially right now in the middle of December in the Midwest. It's pretty darn cold.
Yes.
Although I will say it's kind of nice. I appreciate the cold when it's around the holidays, which it is. We're in the middle of December, right? For
Yeah.
those of you that are tuning in. Um, and it's just a nice time to kind of have that, the winter coats and, the winter hats and everything when you're approaching that holiday season. But no doubt it would also be amazing on the beach. That I'm sure that there are holiday lights that people string up on those palm trees and it's just as beautiful. So, well, Dave, one of the things that I so appreciated about what you were talking about today is taking shame out of the equation. So many times, I hear from people that say, I just wanted to be able to fit into smaller clothes, or I wanted to be able to fit into a certain chair. And now that I do, it just feels so much better. And I don't feel that shame.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree. It feels better, and there's a lot to be said for that. But I also love what you were talking about before. You shouldn't feel ashamed of who
Yeah.
you are, of what
That's
your
right.
body is.
That's right.
And wherever you are in life, you deserve to take that space. And I really, really love that. And I'm really grateful that you made that clear to our listeners because I think a lot of people really
Absolutely.
need to hear that. So thank
Yeah.
you again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it has been an incredible conversation with you today, Dave. Thank you so much for coming on our show. I can't wait to have you back.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
you better send me a text when you hit that 340. That's going to be the
For
one of the
sure.
things that you're gonna do aside from the ribeye, and I'm sure other delicious sides that you'll have that are going to work great for your body. So I'm excited to celebrate with you as well and see how your journey continues to unfold. So
Thanks,
thanks again, and
Teresa.
happy holidays,
Yeah. Happy
and
holidays.
a very happy new year. Excited to that you've already reached that milestone.
Appreciate it. And then thank you,
All right.
and thank you for Verda for having me on. This has really meant a lot to me. So,
Yeah.
and I'll be
All
happy to
right.
come back. So,
Please do. Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Until then. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Take care. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. And if you'd like to regain control of your metabolic health and feel like yourself again, check us out at Virta.com. That's VIRTA.com. Your Life Reset is for informational purposes only and shouldn't be considered a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Contact your provider if you suspect you have a medical problem. I'll chat with you all again soon. Until then, stay inspired, my friends.